So we're back in the kitchen once again with Ian Taverner's fantastic book, Cookfulness, a therapeutic approach to cooking for people with all kinds of disabilities. And today we're going to make a fruit crumble. Now this recipe requires 1 kilogram of fruit, any fruit of your choosing. So for this recipe I'm going to use apples as well as some frozen fruit I've got in the freezer. First of all, we need to get into the apples before peeling them up. So for that, I'm going to use this nimble. Very easily slips onto the end of your finger, like so, and then this tiny little blade here we can use to rip open into the apple. That easy, that quickly. Next off, it's time to peel them. With the apples out of their packaging, it's time to get peeling, and for that, we're going to use this food preparation board in conjunction with this palm peeler. So the great thing about this food prep board is that it comes with graters, it comes with dishes all built into it, as well as this handy implement for holding things in place. So we're going to get the apple, just gently push it down there, so now it's not going to move, and then we slide the palm peeler onto our finger, like so. We pop off the lid, and then the peeler is in the palm of my hand, and we're ready to get peeling. So there we go, that's 1 apple peeled, only 4 more to go. We're now ready to chop the apples, and for that we're going to use this right angle all-purpose knife, which I've popped into the general purpose gripping aid to give me added stability. So with the apple now all chopped into chunks, we're going to do the same to some of this rhubarb, which I got from the garden. So with the rhubarb now added to the apple, it's time to zest and juice our orange. Now the last little bits we need to do before moving on to the crumbled topping is to measure out 50 grams of golden castor sugar and 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Now the first thing we're going to need for our crumble topping are 200 grams of oats. This being a gluten-free recipe book, it has gluten-free oats down. However, if you've not got the gluten allergy, obviously regular oats are just as good. So to get into this, we're going to once again use our nimble, and we're going to slide it across the top of this bag, hopefully avoiding an oat avalanche. $201 in fact. So with the oats in our bowl, it's time to add the rest of our crumble topping ingredients, which is half a tablespoon of salt firstly. So once again, using our looped teaspoon aid, measure out half a teaspoon. That's about right for that. We then want 2 tablespoons of butter. Now the equivalent of 1 tablespoon is 2.5 teaspoons. So we want 5 teaspoons of butter therefore. Like so. Next, we want 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. So again, that equals 5 teaspoons. Now, me having a horrendous sweet tooth, I'm not going to complain if there is slightly more than 5. And while I was looking, that's the teaspoon finished with. We then add a pinch of mixed spice. I think that's equivalent to a pinch. Okie dokie, now on to the mixing. So with all of these ingredients now in our bowl, it's time to mix together with our hands. So you can just combine everything as best you can, rubbing the butter between your fingers to create a crumb type substance. It's also been coming along pretty well. I think we're just about done, and now it is definitely time to wash my hands. Now, one of the ways this recipe suggests that you can change it up in the hints and tips section is by adding some nuts, and that will give you a bit of extra crunch. So I'm going to chop up a handful of walnuts and add them into our crumble mix. Now to do that, I'm going to use this food prep board, which I've removed the stuff in here so that all that's left is this handy collection tray. And I've also got my right-angled multi-purpose knife popped into my jump purpose gripping hook. In our bowl here, we can add that into our main bowl, give it a quick mix, and then we're ready to dish up into cooking bowls, sorry, ready to pop in the oven. Now, before everything goes in the oven, we need to put our fruit, our orange zest, the juice, the cinnamon and the sugar, and heat it until the sugar is dissolved. And then give it a good stir. And in order to stir it, I'm going to be using my small item gripping aid, which attaches very quickly and easily using Velcro straps. I then have my stirring spoon preloaded into the palm pad. I can attach this at any angle onto the small item aid, pop it on it, grab hold of the handle, which I have the anti-slip tape on, anti-slip wrap, which means I can hold it without it coming out of my hand. Give it a good stir, and you can see the sugar is dissolving already. So you want to be doing this until the sugar is dissolved. Once the sugar has dissolved, I'm then going to add these frozen mixed fruits to it. I'm going to give it another good stir, and then I'm going to leave it, I'm going to reduce the heat and let it simmer for 5 minutes. So with the sugar now dissolved and the fruit having simmered for 5 minutes, it's time to add all this into our deep dish. Now this wants to be spread out as evenly as you can, so I'm just going to There we go, golden on top, bubbling in the middle, perfect, ready to serve. Packed full of oats, nuts and fruit, this is an extremely tasty yet extremely healthy dessert that combines 70 of fibre a day along with enough sweetness to satiate even the sweetest tooth. Again, this is from this fantastic book, Cookfulness by Ian Taverner. In fact, inside this book for this recipe, it does state that you can add ice cream, cream or custard to this. However, seeing as this is the first time I've cooked this, I quite want to savour the flavour of it by itself. So all that's left now is the taste test. Another winner.